Good.
Now we are. Hi, everybody. It's Dr. Hillary Fredrickson with my beloved Bex Urban. This is Rebecca Urban, aka Bex Urban, and she is a magical, wondrous, mystical yoga teacher and meditation teacher and Pilates and body worker. And just that doesn't, there's not a lot of words to describe. She's a wisdom dropper and energy giver and magic maker and community connector. What else can I say? Bex Urban's in the house.
I am here to help us remind ourselves that there is magic in ritual and retreating.
Rituals. The magic of ritual and retreating. And I was with a patient yesterday, and she is devoted to her healthcare and of her children, and she's got some complicated things she's navigating with sort of everybody in her family. And she was just saying that her goal of the year is consistency. And if she's saying hi, and it's interesting because consistency, that word, it has a little bit of a negative connotation, doesn't it? On some level, it can be positive, but on some mini level, isn't it, when you're like, I need to be consistent? Isn't it a little bit like I'm not quite good enough?
Well, I see consistency in a practice as as a lead for overwhelm. I think that's what I hear when you say that, right? Because ritual feels like I'm going to daily have this commitment to showing up for myself. Consistency feels like if I miss a day,
I'm not good enough.
I let myself down.
That's what I was wondering. Like, I was like, what's the reframe because the energy and intention that she has is amazing, right? And she's going in and saying, I know that this needs to become daily practice of self-care, daily practice of, and we get so distracted, and it's the distractions that take us off course. And then she's spinning on her own thing, and it's harder to get back on than it is to stay in the daily practice. So that's the reframe. Could it be a ritual or a practice? You always say practice. Like, is there a reframe there?
When you say that, what I hear is, how do we set ourselves up for success and being able to acknowledge what we are capable of and how we do show up, period, right? And so for me, when I work with people, and even when I'm having that talk with myself, it's like small increments. Someone comes to me, I want to get fit. And I'm like, okay, why don't you go for a 10-minute walk tomorrow? 10 minutes, is that even anything? Does it matter? Is it 10 minutes more than you're doing? Yes. Okay. It matters, right? So small little things, and then you add on. And so consistency feels like, okay, consistency. I have to be there. I have to be there. I have to be there. Right. Whereas for me, ritual is like, oh, okay, I'm going to get up today. I'm going to make so I started a ritual in the last couple of days, not on the first of the year, but in the last couple of days, where I was like, I'm not just going to meditate for 20 minutes. I'm going to wear my little infrared mask because it has a 20-minute timer on it. So I don't even have to have my phone around me, right? And I'm going to sit and I'm going to hit start, and it's going to tell me when it's done. And I'm just going to trust in that. Right. And so it's not like I don't have the ritual of meditation, but I just wanted something different to be part of it. And at no point have I thought I have to do it tomorrow. I'm like looking forward to carving out that time for me.
It's genius because you created a twofer. Like anywhere where we can create magical twofers. And that's the like working out in community or walking with a friend or, just any twofer does a great thing for the soul. I think you're in our current life. Okay. So Bex is somebody, she's my teacher, my yoga teacher, and I retreat with Bex, and I get a lot of space and grace with her. I don't get to do everything I wish I could do. So it's on my list to be more in ritual of self-care as far as my getting to be in the yoga work. But Bex is like someone I look up to for someone who's really good at actualizing ritual in her life and maintaining the practice of something. And so can you just describe what your for the last like 6 months or longer, some of your rituals? And it's not necessarily, I'm not telling you guys listening that you have to do what she's doing, because it's a not for everybody, but just the practice and the art of how weaving in the ritual and then what you got out of it.
The weaving is so key, Hillary. I think of it like a mala bead. Like there are 108 and you're just stacking, right? You're just stacking beads. Some people call it hacking or stacking habit stacking. For me, have certain components that make my day feel enriched and that help me show up more grounded and not so frazzled and not so defensive and not so all these things. So, what I layer or feather into my day and think, okay, this feels nourishing for me is writing in my journal, right? This doesn't all happen in a day, okay? In a dream day, I wake up and I write in my journal, and then I do yoga or some kind of movement practice, or I wake up and like this morning, it was rainy. I went to bed a little later, so I didn't get up and meet a group that I like to go dip with. So I said to myself, okay, I could go do something physical, like my practice right away, knowing I'm going to teach in a little bit, or I could go in the pool and dip. And so I
When
went,
she says dip, she's a cold plunger in the bay, in the San Francisco Bay, with a group of mermaids, they call themselves, I think, right? Like it's like a
yeah.
pretty and beautiful ritual that you guys have been creating.
Well, and so for me, I was doing it, and you know this, I was doing it on my own in my pool for a long time. And so it's great to do it in community, because community, just like you're saying, is a twofer. There I am with my girls, women, ladies, gentlemen. There's guys who do it with us, and we're just hanging out. And so the water's cold, and we're a little shaky, but we're just chatting. So I've written, I've moved. Um, I like to make some kind of warm drink in the morning. The reason I like to get up before everybody else is so that then when my 2 of 3 kids come down, because one's in college now, I'm ready to make breakfast and I don't feel as frazzled. And if they want to make their own breakfast, that's their deal. But sometimes I really like to do that. Like that's something I like. I don't feel like I'm enabling them. I feel like this is a ritual that I like to do, a routine. Um, and I definitely go for walks daily. I think walks are the most beautiful practice that people underrate. I think, especially as we age, what our eyes do while we're walking and we're tracking. And on special days, if you really want a twofer and you want to listen to a podcast, great. But it's wonderful just to hear the noises outside, the movement that happens in our body. Am I sweating on this walk? Am I looking for this to be my workout? No. What I'm entertaining within myself is alone, breathing, and moving, right? And I think sometimes, just like that, like you brought up consistency, I think sometimes we have these big things we have to think are our goals for movement, and we just need to move, right? Just like for meditation, I can't do it. I'm not good at it. I don't have the time. And so it's like, I don't actually think that's true. I think if you picked up your phone and looked at all the hours you've logged scrolling into other people's lives and things, you'd go, I definitely have 2 minutes to just sit here and breathe, or put my hand on my heart or my hand on my belly or cover my eyes and just call my attention back to this moment and remember what I'm on purpose for. What am I being intentional about? I love being in circle with women. That's in a great day. Some kind of connection with other. And for me, service through joy. See, I'm in my studio right now, seeing clients, whether it's for Pilates or yoga or healing. And those are things that aspects of my daily life that fill me up in such a way that I'm not depleted, right? Because it can be really overwhelming in this day and age to be human.
Girl, that's the theme. That's the truth. Like, we have to keep our wits about us. And I feel like it's an energy, like a boundary issue. So my rituals are, I choose not to start my day with my phone. I pray in bed or do the serenity prayer or send light and energy to people who need it. My patients, my friends, my community, the world, right? I'm just trying to focus. I try to do a body check-in or just like, who am I and what's happening today? And give my dog love. Like, I like to start my day with love. Love for me, love giving love, receiving love. Like, I love my dog because she can just like, I can pour into her and it's just like so much oxytocin rather than my, oh shit, like, what is it I'm supposed to do today? That'll come later. That comes better for me if I'm drinking my warm drink. Most people love a warm drink in the morning. And Monday, I start my anti-inflammatory protocol. We'll be drinking ginger and turmeric and cinnamon and using herbs that are really warming and dilating. Sometimes it's coffee, sometimes it's whatever. But then I can sit down and organize my day once I've been in the love vibe. That's how it works best for me. And the just keeping our energy field when we start to feel like we're getting blown out, when too many things are coming at us at once. And it's that feeling of overwhelm. You spoke about that too, that feeling of just like, and usually when women get overwhelmed, they either get bitchy or sad or like something, it's not awesome. And usually it's to our closest beloveds where we just lash out or whatever, because we're overwhelmed in the world. And part of that's learning to protect our field. Like, okay, I'm in overwhelm now. I'm going to choose to go for a 10-minute walk and let nature breathe into me and give into me and put it down. Like, because once I'm in overwhelm, like, I'm probably not making good decisions. It's like the same, like, once you're awake at 4 a.m, like, you're not going to make good choices about your life probably at between 2 and 4. So like, just put on a meditation and try to breathe yourself back to sleep.
Absolutely.
Bring it back in. Bring it back in, right?
Right. It's that. Go ahead.
Sorry. Well, I was like, tell me about these. Okay, so we're also talking about rituals, daily rituals, rituals of self-care, because they just all stack up to make such a big difference in the end. Like, it's the same as like if you put 25 cents in the jar every time you do, like all of a sudden you have like a big ass jar of coins. Like, if you can visualize how that works, like, it's the same as stacking rituals of self-care. And then afterwards, you've invested in yourself.
I feel like particularly me, I can speak to myself and the moms and the mom friends that surround me. And even just this way of humanness, that we're material, spirit, all these different things that happen, that we forget that it really is just like you're saying, one marble, one bead, one quarter, one nickel. Like, it doesn't have to be huge. It just has to get you into a space where you reroute yourself. And if we can see that we need rerouting, right? And before someone says, hey, you know what? Go take a beat, go outside. You're annoying, right? Like, You're hard to be around right now. And there are definitely times in the day where if I don't do those practices, someone in my house will look at me and be like, "Have you meditated? Ha have you moved your body?" Right? And then I'm like, "Oh, oh, I know what's happening." Right? So the recalibration that we all need, and it does not need to look like a hardcore run or whatever. You can put on a song for 3 minutes that you love to jam to and just start moving and singing and,
Yeah,
you
it's true.
want you
It
wanna
doesn't
change
have to be the
it.
serious,
Yeah.
you just
No.
shift the field.
Yeah.
And music works incredibly well with kids. If kids are stuck or angry or they're a little jacked and you're just like, "Woo, okay." Like we have teenagers, and so like sometimes you like say something and they're like, "Ah," and then all of a sudden you just put a song on, and then there's just starting to get to flow and magic and music and shifting and like it's true. It's just the reroute. Love it.
And that's the thing is you get out of the loop, you stop the spin just by a little tap and a little amplification and a dial of something else. Right. So my one of my children happens to be just such a hugger feeler. I mean, they all are. And she just really like she knows she's just like, I need a really good hug right now.
Oh, that's
And
so
and I need it and I nope, nope, I need it longer. I need it longer. Right. And they know for a fact that human touch, that's like the dancing. That's like the treadmill. That's like the hike. That's like the spinning, right? So we have to also be able to ask ourselves, and I think this is a great prompt and exercise. And it doesn't have to be your best writing, is to just take a piece of paper. What makes me happy? What do I need when I'm sad? What would nourish me? Who are the people that I need to call? And you just start list making. Sometimes I'll just make bubbles and I'll have lines around them. I'll swirl and I won't even go back to it. And other times I'll go back to it and I'll be like, oh, where am I missing the mark today on what feeds me? And how did I get caught in the to-do list instead of the to-be list? Because for me, if I can see myself just checking the boxes and like on the path, and you know this because I'll call you sometimes and be like, I just need the humor today. I'm so stuck in the worst case scenario that isn't happening now. That's the other big, big ritual for me, is to ask myself, Bex, are you in the present moment right now? Because when you are feeling this way, it's usually because you're ahead of yourself or you're looping something behind you that you are never going to be able to course correct. Right. So I can course correct this moment and that's it. And I think some of us grip tightly in this way that we forget ritual supports us right now. Routines say, just for today, I'm going to have my cayenne, ginger, whatever, just for today. And maybe that is what kind of triggers you a little bit about consistency, is it's a future. It's not a now moment, right?
Mm.
It's like, I did it today, but it doesn't matter that I did it today because tomorrow matters. Whereas with ritual, right? With ritual, I'm steeped in this moment and I'm saturating myself in the goodness of now. And I'm not future tripping because I'm not powerful enough to control that. And for those of us who can tap into anxiety really quickly, the worst case scenario shows up in that moment really easily.
Oh my God. Can you believe Bex and I have done a lot of phone calls practicing? We're in continuous practice of this because we're humans on the planet. And no matter how long you've been in the work, it's so fascinating how fast it can go. Zoop. My triggers are my patients, her triggers are more her family or something. And we just go zoop. And then it's like, oh my God, you know, how soon we forget, but it gets easier and easier to drop back in and remember, oh, right. Oh, right. That's just like my brain doing what my brain loves to do, you know? Okay. So I think there's this thing about retreating. So we've talked a lot about rituals, and may my gorgeous patient who's listening know that that just was a conversation that I was thinking about last night. So in no way am I down on her word, but just how can we grow with it? But the thing that I love is these looking at a calendar, and I've been doing a lot of like calendaring and planning, and but when you look on a calendar and you have spaces where you get to retreat, and the retreat is I'm going to just pour into myself for a period of time and learn and pause and get a little bit quiet. And Bex's retreats have been a big part of my healing, um, and growth. And she's got one coming up in March. And so if not March, then in
October.
the fall. But so there's this thing about having something on the calendar that's sacred, that's for you. And once you get all the things done and you get in the car, and this is the difference between a trip. There was this conversation a little while ago about like, is it a trip or is it a vacation or whatever? This is neither. This is a retreat. And when you retreat, you're retreating back into yourself in community, and you're letting yourself heal and recalibrate versus to me, a vacation is expanding myself in a sense. Like this is a retreat. Does that make sense? It's a different energy. And so like I need both on my calendar. That's just who I am. Tell
So
me.
I think retreating to me is a sacred remembering that this is your longest relationship, right? That this is what needs to be filled, and we are depleted, most of us, in like, how can I help? How can I help? How can I help? How can I help? And in that moment, we're not in that place where how can I help in a joyful way? We're in servitude. And so a retreat reminds us, just like the 5-minute walk, just like the 10-minute meditation, just like the nibbles that we're getting at that, a retreat is saying, I'm investing in stepping out of all of the things that I do daily to really deeply check in with myself. And a lot of people don't want to do it. So here's how it starts. I can't afford it. I can't take that time. And I'm like, it's 2 nights. It used to be 3. People would kind of like bail on the 3 nights. It's 2 nights. Okay. And in that time, what you're really asking of yourself is to remember, and to be willing to remember, that this is the connection that helps you stay in the web and the connection of all people, so that you can say, hey, you know what, today it's a no for me to go out because I need the night to retreat, so that you can start to see that in your life you can retreat in small bits just by having that time away. It's amazing though. You get away and food is prepared for you. You have your own room,
Insane.
right? You all you have to do is show up to meditate, to move your body, to be in nature. And there's this way that there is an unfolding, and you start to recognize, wow, I busy myself, right? You start to recognize, just like you're saying about grabbing the phone, that we grab the phone because we've forgotten how to do nothing and be bored, right? As a child of the 70s and the 80s, there was a lot of boredom. Yeah, I watched Magnum PI. I had my Oprah in the lineup. Like I had a way that I sat in front
I
of the TV.
ironed ribbons. I
Right.
had like a box of ribbons and they would wrinkle, and I just had nothing to do on Sunday. My parents were playing golf and my Mormon friends couldn't hang out on a Sunday. And I ironed ribbons like
And you
for
know what?
hours.
You delighted in that meditation of continuity in action. It
Yep.
was like sewing, it was like creating, and we have it now. We're losing that art. It's like a novelty to be bored or to go away. And what I can say to you about retreating is it's like it is this ritual, like moving your body and exercise. Everyone who comes on a retreat, particularly if a friend's like, come on, just come with me. And they're like, I don't do yoga. I'm like, I make it so user friendly
Yeah, it's
that
true.
I have people who literally come twice a year and maybe only do yoga during that time, right? So we're not talking about the Olympic style kind of like, let's get our yoga on. We're talking about how do we retreat? And it's partially because I was steeped in meditation at such a young age that I see this benefit of getting quiet. And then I have people who are like, I really want to come, but I don't like to meditate. I'm not good. Right. And so it's like, okay, let's find a way that we can meet ourselves and be comfortable in the quietude and the silence, because there's a question that's potent there that you're wanting to avoid. And we want to be curious about who we are when nothing's happening, who we are when something's happening, so that who we are when everything's happening isn't overwhelm. And that's what retreating is.
That's what retreating is. And the thing about Bex's retreats, and some of you are going to watch this and you're not in the Bay Area, but Bex's retreat, once you get into the car and you drive, well, for me, I drive through West Marin. I drive past the Strauss cows. I drive past the place where I get olive oil. I drive past, you drive, and then you're driving along the coastline of the Sonoma coastline, which is a very underused, insanely open, wide, crazy coastline. And then you're meandering through the trees and you happen upon this place that's this, I don't know, with this Rattling meditation center where she has it, and retreat center. And it's with such fine craftsmanship. Like you stay in these homes that are, it's also finely done. And like she said, the food is made for you. And so in such a short amount of time, you have been poured into. And Bex always says, when you go back, don't ever judge the home you walk back into and the chaos you return to. Like, just remember that you got to go, right? Instead of like, I always walk in and my house is like a train wreck.
Well,
But that's
this is the thing. Do you keep yourself with your plug close to being plugged in, or do you derail it all? And like you're saying, the landscape takes you in. It goes from
it's
the
such a
ocean
feast.
yet into this place. And I really do feel like and you know this from having come, like it's my favorite time to facilitate and help people remember, being willing to remember that this life is such a gift. And when we pull ourselves away, what we gift the people around us is how we show up and how we are there for them. And so they get to do things without us. And we get to recognize the way that we try to control things or think we're like spinning so many tops. Can they do it without me? They definitely can do it without you. For those of you who are like, I had these new moms, they all had left their toddlers, or 4 or 5 of them. And, I kind of suggest not being on the phone. And the second night, one was like, I got to out myself. I called my husband. They went to McDonald's. Can you believe that? And I said, well, isn't your husband resourceful? Right? People are not going to do things the way that we want them to. And we have to loosen the grip and uncling And that's what the Buddha kept saying is like, see your attachments. See all the ways you think you're the puppeteer. You are not. There's a bigger source, and we all want to tap into it. And we have to have this ability to be committed to our silence, our quiet, and our sacred source within, so that those around us, right, can go, oh my God, thank you, friend. Thank you, sister. Thank you, daughter. Thank you, mother. You know?
So beautiful. Okay, well, the two of us could talk forever, but I
I
get to go work with patients and you get to go teach. I
Thank
love
you for
you.
having me.
I'll be retreating in March with Bex, so if you want to join me.
15th through the 17th, and you can always, my email's here, and you can send me a direct question. And also, if you do, you can go to my YouTube channel and you can just practice. And maybe if you feel like today I can't retreat, you can do, there's a 10-minute meditation on there. And if you make it through 2 minutes, you still did something.
You still win.
You still win.
Rituals and retreats. I love you, Bexy. Have a good day.
I love you too. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye, baby.